Welcome back to another iDoctor UK podcast. It's another special one. We're in another location and we've got Nick here who is, what's your job? Founder.
Yeah, co-founder of Marketplace Monitor.
So Nick is the co-founder of Marketplace Monitor. You've already heard me talking about this. We've spoke about it in numerous episodes of this podcast now. So you're all familiar with Marketplace Monitor. But what I wanted to do was get Nick to give us a brief introduction of how you got into this, because it wasn't like everybody we get on here. It's never the first thing that you didn't come out of school and think, right, I'm going to set up Marketplace Monitor. So let's go from the start. What started it?
Yeah, so it's a long story, but it's a bit of an odd story. So basically, I'm originally a car mechanic. I went out of school, had a gap year, and then didn't really know what I wanted to do, and knew I liked cars, so I went straight to being a car mechanic. Through like one of these big name brands.
Yeah.
Hated it, really didn't enjoy it, but I always loved cars. So I was an apprentice. You do an apprenticeship for about 3 years, and in those 3 years, I was lucky enough to meet a guy that basically was into racing. So he was basically, I was at the training centre where I was training to be a mechanic, and I was asked to offload a car round the back. So when I offloaded this car in the back, it was a race car. So I seen the guy who was offloading it. I thought he must know a bit about racing. I've always been passionate about racing. So I just asked him, how do I get involved? He actually turned out to run a go-kart track that was near me. So from that conversation, I ended up going down the go-kart track, helping out every Wednesday. And one thing led to the next. I ended up selling my car. I bought a van, I bought a go-kart. Now I was about 20 years old, driving a van about, which is a bit of a weird thing. You're driving it 365 days a year. I was probably only using it twice a month to race. So I just thought to myself, how am I going to, I can make money with this van. So then I just started doing like man and van removals. I was picking a couch up from A and delivering it to B, a bed from here and taking it to there. And then, it just sort of went from there. So I was at the point doing my apprenticeship where you're not earning a lot of money, where I was earning more money doing removals. So I started phoning in sick. I was phoning in sick so I could be out the whole day in the van. And I loved it, the freedom. I was out in the van. It was brilliant. So that I'd done removals for a while. And then one day I was doing a job for a client. They had a pub and they were getting rid of some old furniture, kind of couches just like these. And they were like, we're getting new furniture in. Do you want to take these away? So I was like, sure, I'll take them away. And I put them up on Facebook and for about £200, and they were sold within an hour.
Jesus.
So then I thought, oh my God, I can make more money selling couches than I can delivering them. So that led me to start looking for couches on Facebook, Gumtree, etc. Buying them, cleaning them up if they need cleaned up, and then selling them at my mum and dad's garage. Done that for a while. I thought this is making good money, so I ended up moving into a warehouse. I had a business partner. And then through that business partner, I met Jack and Dan, who are part of the team at Marketplace Monitor. And at a birthday gathering, we spoke a bit about the problems I was having in terms of sourcing. You know all about it, like, you need to try and source quickly, or there's competitors or any of these issues. So we spoke about a possible solution, building the software for my business specifically at the time. So that was January 2023, and Jack and Dan had a bit of experience with bots in the past. So we started developing it, and it was literally developed exactly for the needs of my business. We then had it ready to test in October for my business. And it was crazy. I remember we done it, and within the first month, my numbers just doubled, like overnight.
Really?
Literally just doubled overnight, yeah.
So we're talking October last year, so
2023.
just over a year ago.
2023,
right, okay, yeah.
Just started using it, and within a month, like, we were surplus of stock. We couldn't get, you couldn't, there was so much stuff you would get. Just solved that problem instantly. And we thought, wow, if this is going to help me double my numbers, it can help other couch resellers, which was originally the market we targeted. And then, yourself, it can be applied to couches, cars, phones, electronics, anything at all.
Yeah.
So then we took it to market in November 2023 and just had to sort of put feelers out there, see who would be interested in it. And, it's been just over a year now, and it's been an absolutely insane year.
I can imagine. It was another phone repair guy who sort of brought it to our attention, and he'd use it, Harry. I think he watches this, and he told us about it, and I was sort of skeptical at first, but the realities of it are that if you're using that app, like you said, you just end up with, like, even in our area, we live in Sheffield, there's 500,000 people in Sheffield, right? I reckon that there could be 5 to 10 people using the app, and we'd still end up with too much stock that we can get rid of very quickly. Like, it's nuts how well it works.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, the functionality of the app is great, but the whole sort of psychology of getting in and getting that first message to people as soon as they've listed it, like, my phone's probably going to ping with a Marketplace Monitor notification any minute.
Off, mate, when I came down.
Like, that advantage of getting that first message into people is ridiculous, especially for phones, because they just get swamped with messages fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy good. I didn't realise that it was so young, really.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we only launched it last year, and like I said, it's been crazy, the demand that we've seen. And the funny thing is, people don't believe me when I say this, but the first people I went to, first customers I reached out to, were my competitors.
Okay, yeah.
Because I just wanted to see, I thought it was so cool, and I wanted to see other people to see what they thought of it. So our early customers were all Glasgow couch resellers. And, you know, the funny thing is people say to me sometimes, like, well, you know, do you not saturate the market if everyone's using it? But the answer to that is 99% of our competition are just the general public.
Yeah.
So it's the general public that are using Marketplace. It's a public marketplace, but the general public aren't using software like this.
No.
So by using it, you're effectively getting an edge on 99% of your competition. Of course, you'll have competitors if they're using it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you've wiped out the vast majority of people that are going to be going for the deals.
Getting in early, you know what you want. You put your search parameters in, and it's there right in front of you as soon as what you're looking for pops up. But at the same time, your competitors you think of one deal and you think, oh yeah, I want that, and then 5 other people might think, oh, that's a bit expensive for me. Or
well, that's exactly what it is. So there's a few things there. Like, the difference was before is I would go on Facebook while I was driving, or if I was sitting down somewhere, and you're maybe having to check like 6, 7, 8 times a day, and each time you check, you were seeing the same listings you've seen before. You weren't sure if anything new had went up. So what Marketplace Monitor does, is it basically gives you a reliable pipeline. So even if you did miss something through the day, you can scroll through and at least you know what's been up and what's been up for sale.
Yeah. So just to pause a minute. We've not really talked about, like, obviously what we're talking about here. I've talked about it a lot already on this podcast. But Marketplace Monitor is an app that you download from the App Store, and you type in what you want it to find on Facebook Marketplace. Does it work on any other market?
Gumtree, eBay,
okay, so
Spock.
eBay, all those other, whatever marketplace you're using, and it will send you a notification, and it will also display whatever product you're looking for in the app right in front of your face as soon as it's listed, and it just gives you that edge of being first to message people. That's its main advantage for me. Plus, it's a lot more organised than Facebook Marketplace. So just wanted to, because we just dove straight into talking about Marketplace Monitor, there might be people who don't already know what it is. So that's a basic outline of what it does and what it is. So the context behind this conversation, really. So,
but yeah.
Sorry, I cut you
no,
off.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you've done that. I'm glad you've done that.
Everyone that watches this podcast knows about Marketplace.
Yeah, I've been banging on about it because it's a win for everybody. The person who's selling it on Facebook, they want rid of it. That's why they've put it on Facebook. At the end of the day, they get rid of it, the item that you want. The person who's using Marketplace Monitor to find stuff, it costs them at least £20 a month. One sale. I don't know how good the profit margins are on sofas, but for sure with phones, we work on £70 plus profit margin. So you could get a month out of one flip easily. And then obviously you guys are happy because people sign up for it and pay for it. Everybody wins out of it, don't they?
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
I mean, I've said that to people because people say to me like, oh, I don't know if I need to pay for something like this, and I'm not saying you do need to pay for it, but what I would say is if someone said to you at the start of the month, we'll get you, that by doing X, Y, Z, you'll make £500 more. They'd say yeah, and then someone say it's going to cost you 50 quid.
Yeah.
Well, you're like, well, it's 50 quid I'm having to spend, but I'll make £500 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's hard for people to see that when it comes as a cost out of the bank account. But if you were to do a month comparing using it and then a month comparing not using it, I'm pretty sure you would see a light and day difference 100%. Between how effective it works.
Yeah. We used it for 2 days when it was Dan who set us up on it first time round, and we hammered it that first couple of days, made a decent video on it, and it was brilliant, really good. I've not been using it as much as I should at the moment, because what's interesting about our sort of journey with it is that I've not always been into buying and selling phones. So probably the last 6 months that I've been a bit more active on that, and I've started putting them in the window and making sure that the window's empty at the minute because it's Christmas. But I've been a lot more active on doing that recently, which has brought people into the shop and wanting to trade them in. So that's helped us no end. So
well, I would just say as well, like, it's good to have pipelines, whether you do it from like ads, whether you do it for trade-ins. It's good to have as many avenues as possible. And what I was saying before is, in terms of a reliable pipeline of getting stock, using these marketplaces alone isn't necessarily that reliable. This kind of just gives you that, it sort of streamlines everything. I think you said that earlier. It kind of streamlines everything. So you've now got your trade-ins, you've now got your ads, but you've also got your pipeline coming from the marketplaces too. And like I said, it would do eBay. We could do nationwide for eBay. We could do nationwide for Gumtree. Facebook, Spock, Vinted.
I'm gonna have a play around with the eBay one.
Yeah, eBay's really good. Like, eBay's really good.
Definitely.
Because like I said, eBay, obviously people deliver, or it's like when you sell on eBay, you can deliver it. So we see a lot of people actually trying out eBay. Which works really well.
We were talking earlier about like all the scams on Facebook Marketplace, and you showed me your phone, all the messages. It's just madness. It'd be interesting to see if in the future Facebook use some kind of payment system, because obviously eBay is protected because it's all the transactions are through eBay. They act as a middleman, whereas Facebook is just a list, isn't it? It's just a listing.
It's just a marketplace, right? So that's all it is. But the thing with Facebook that bugs me is such small changes. Like when I showed you the scams I'm getting, it's like not even scams on adverts to buy. It's people trying to scam me when I'm selling, and they send a message, and guys will know about this if they sell on Facebook. You get this message and it says, "Dear administrator, your account has been flagged for this content," and then that you've breached term 1 and term 2 and term 3, and it's just like it's so tiring.
It is.
And in terms of our customer base, that me personally, when I'm selling couches, I sell directly through Facebook. I know you were saying you sort of sell through the store, so it's not as much of an issue for you. But I don't know about the guys that watch us, but I sell primarily through Facebook, and it's making my business less reputable because people now associate Facebook Marketplace with scam sellers. So when I've got a list, and I've actually seen people use my exact images to try and scam other people. So it's a real conundrum, and it's something that I find that it's little small things that Facebook could tweak, and it would make a massive difference. But at the end of the day, I think they get money for people that are on the marketplace scrolling, like ad revenue. So if they've got 150 more scam accounts in one region, they're probably making money off those people having scam accounts. So it's not a financial decision for them to make.
I never thought about it like that. That is very true. That is very true. So we talked about obviously what's going on, how you sort of came about this. What about like the future for Marketplace Monitor? Where is it going? Because you've had some. Obviously, it's very young. You've had some good opportunities. This is the third podcast you've been on. You were in Chicago not long ago. When we were trying to book you in, you're a man in demand. So you've obviously found a product what's very good, but it's like the scaling time now, isn't it? Surely. So where's next?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, we originally went for couch resellers, couch flippers, because that's my bread and butter. I knew it worked for me, so it would work for their couch flippers. But really, it's crazy where what it can help with and where it can help. So we've had users in probably 20 different countries.
Right.
From South Africa to New Zealand to America to Canada, like anywhere you can think of, really. We've had over 5,000 people use the app.
Wow.
And they sell things from like drills to kayaks to record players, Lego, phones, electronics. So I think with us is, the hardest thing for a product like this, because it's so niche, is trying to get the name out there. But the thing is word of mouth actually works really well. Like a lot of these people that are in the same space, they're maybe in a group, or they work with other people or know some other guys. And me personally, because I think it's such an exciting product, people want to tell people, because it's like the problem that we've all had. I know a few people that have they try and keep it secret, which again is understandable.
I get that. If you're in a very densely populated city like London, I imagine that the guys are. I think on the video what we did, one of the comments were you weren't meant to tell people about it. Like they'd already been using it.
But that's a good sign, right? It's a good sign that it's a good product. But
what you're saying about groups, that's the same. We've got this Facebook group, and there's only 1,000 people in it, or I think there's about 1,400 now, and all those people are phone repair guys in the UK. They've either got an established business. Some people in there have got huge businesses. Some people have got they're doing repairs from the bedroom. Some people are just interested in getting into it, but it's so niche down that I think that we probably perform better from a post in there talking about this than a video. I don't know how many did it reach? About 50k, 20k?
On all platforms,
Ticked
about 100k.
About 100,000 people. So I think out of those, I don't know the exact numbers, but we obviously did a campaign with you guys. It reached people on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, but I think the group, from the names that I've seen what signed up, I'm going to say that the group was probably the better performing one.
I think so. It's funny because you never know who's going to be interested in it, and some people you think that's right up your alley, and they're not interested. We got a guy recently in America who resells Creed, which is like an aftershave. And he cannot stop raving about how good it's been for him through eBay and Craigslist and Facebook.
So what does he buy it
He buys it nationwide, so he'll buy Creed. Like maybe someone got a Christmas present, he don't want it, and it's still sealed. So then he ends up buying it off them and selling it. And he messaged me on a daily basis, being like, "This one made me $800 profit." So if there's anyone wanting to get into a niche, maybe go for some Creed. But it's funny. Next to my warehouse where I store my couches, there's a phone shop there. And I was all excited because, we'd started getting phone guys on. So I'm like, I'm going to jump in and just, try and sell on MarketplaceMonitor. So I'm the guy in my hoodie with my shorts on in summer with a phone. And I go and talk to him about, this app, by the way, and it's MarketplaceMonitor, and it does this and it does this. I must have spoke to him for about 5 minutes. And he just looks at me and goes, "Manager not here." After me speaking for 5 minutes, and I'm like, "Okay, mate, the shot was shot," and I just got
for name.
Shot back. But yeah, it's completely it's a strange one. It's a strange one, but some people maybe don't need it. They have their own processes, and we find that actually with car dealerships, is we've targeted a lot of sort of car dealerships or private traders, and the younger ones that are using these marketplaces are like, wow, this is game changing. Whereas if you go to maybe a guy, who's 40, 50 years old, and he started doing this before there was Facebook, his processes are more set. He almost looks at it like, "I don't need this." So the best way to target it is people that are using the marketplaces. But again, I think just word of mouth is the best way of getting it out there, and just just having that brand awareness. Working with someone like yourself really helps with our brand awareness and helps people try it out. And at the end of the day, what I enjoy doing is helping other people. And I think, like I said, that guy that sells aftershave, I love getting a text from him because he's going on about how we've made him $800. And
that's mad. I wouldn't expect that. See, I watched this guy on TikTok, and he goes and buys bikes, and then he bought the basic outline of most of his videos is he goes, I think he's from up your way, Scotland somewhere. He goes and buys a bike. It looks like he's doing his delivery rounds in an Amazon van or something. Chucks it in the back of the van, takes it to the pressure wash, cleans it, and then at the end of the video he's made 60 quid, 100 quid, whatever on this bike.
Was it like pedal bikes?
Push bikes. Yeah, and he does that, and I always think this guy could do with them if he's not using it already.
We've got guys that do bikes. It's a thing. It's like literally anything that you can buy or sell,
Yeah,
it will be applicable to.
It's crazy what people actually sort of niche down into. Like phones is really quite generic, really, isn't it? So, but like sofa, when we first sort of made contact with you guys and you mentioned the sofas, I was like, fucking hell, I'd never even thought people are.
Well, these ones
that.
here, so we've both got sitting on the same one here.
Yeah.
These are pretty clean. Now, they're not from a brand. I don't think it's kind of like a TK Maxx sort of setup. But you could probably sell them for about 250, 300 because it's that kind of plush velvet.
Yeah.
And you'd probably get these for free. You know, that if these guys are moving out anytime soon, they'd probably just throw them out. So people get them for free, sell them for 300 quid, and then that's your profit there. But it's odd though, because we find it works where people get the most joy and benefit out of this is when they've got higher margins. So for cars, you know, if you're doing £1,000 profit a car and we help you find an extra 2 cars a month, at least, you know, you're making an extra couple grand. With couches, at my margin, I try and make about 200 to 250 profit a couch. Now, obviously, there's a lot of lugging about and storage and stuff like this.
Absolutely.
But you know, other ones like people that sell like clothes, people that sell like Ralph Lauren hoodies and stuff like that. You're maybe making £5-10 profit on it. So people are like, well, I'm going to need to sell 6 of them or 5 of them before I make any money on it. But
I thought the same. It's got to be a higher margin, and it makes it easier to sell it to people. I don't think it needs much selling really. Like we were sold, like you get a free trial, don't you? There's a week free trial. If you use that, then you'll earn enough money in that week's free trial. If you do it right, then you'll earn enough money there to pay for your monthly membership. So even if you skin it, you can get away with it.
Well, I actually said that the other day. You know, the best thing about giving people the free trial is it makes sense to give a free trial for, I think, for any subscription service. You want to let people try it out first. But when you have a free trial with Marketplace Monitor, you know, you can make, like you say, that £500, £600, even more in that week. And be like, well, you know, it's already paid for itself. And then you know, a lot of people are quite sceptical about it because it's almost like this holy grail of like, you know, this problem that we've all had. But when people do get to use it and they use it right, they really see the benefit of it. And when I say use it right, it's important that when someone signs up, they get assigned an account manager. So it's typically me, or Dan that will be assigned, because when people set up, sometimes people will set up incorrectly. So I always have to look into it and make sure that they're getting the best out of it. Like someone will be like, the location is England, but the radius is 5 miles. And it's like, well, you've got to be a bit more specific than England then. But you know, we make sure that, you know, in that week trial that everything's set up perfectly for you. So by the end of the week, it's pretty much tailored to exactly what you need. And that's, you know, I think that's where we get a lot of our praise from guys. That we work so hard with them
100%.
to get the best.
John is our #1 subscriber, and I think he signed up for it. I'm not sure if he's still a member. I think he is. And he dropped us a message on Instagram and said, like, oh, somebody's been in touch. I think it might have been you who'd been in touch already.
I mean, I know there's a lot of Johns out there, but
John is cool.
Is that right?
And he mentioned that you sort of got in touch straight away and reached out to him, which that personal touch. There's another guy who we do business with. He does the accessories for the shop, and he's the same. Like if you put an order in, he'll ring you. Make sure that you've got everything that you need, which is great. But then if you put a decent size order in, he'll come to the shop and make sure that it looks right. Before I put the order in at our new shop, like I just sent him some pictures of the space, what we needed, and I said, can you fill this out with a load of accessories, because I don't know anything about it. So just that personal touch, speaking to a human, especially with an app, like you never know who you're talking to online anymore.
Exactly.
So once you realise that you're speaking to some guys, just some guys who are trying to make a bit of money, it just solve a problem. It makes it easy, doesn't it?
Well, we spoke about it earlier about micromanaging and trying to be perfectionist. When I get someone set up, I want to make sure that they're getting the best out of it, because the last thing I want is someone to use it that has so much potential with it, and then it's used incorrectly, and then they're left with a bad impression. So I make sure that, you know, I want everyone to make sure they're set up absolutely perfectly. But it's true, it's funny because we send messages out to every person that signs up, just to introduce ourselves and say if there's any issues, what is it you resell, how can I help you optimize. But when we first started it, it's very easy. We actually have we've got a funny thing that we do. We've basically, you were saying about this bingo that you've got you're making. I have a file on my phone of like, I call it the bot Olympics.
Okay.
So basically, if we've ever done outreach, whether me, Jack or Dan, and whatever we've put into this group sounds so ridiculously botty, it gets put into the folder. So we used to do these outreach messages, and people would reply. Well, a lot of the time they wouldn't reply, but people would reply, being like, "Is this a bot?" So it's really, when you're sending a message out there, it's really hard to try and make it sound professional.
It is,
but realistic, like you're a real person, which it totally is a real person, but. Sometimes you're trying too hard to make it sound professional that people just think this is some robot, ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think they say that communication, is it like the percentages of communication? I can't remember what it is, but like 70% of it's like body language. So once you remove that part of it and all that you've got is some text on a screen, it's really hard to be polite, professional, informative without being a bot. It's impossible, isn't it? So,
that first outreach message needs to be formal.
Yeah.
To just basically say, "It's Nick from Marketplace Monitor, I'll be your account manager. What is it you resell? If you need any help, let me get you set up." But once I get into a conversation with someone, then it's just like a normal conversation. And it's really good to actually like getting on the phone with guys, because then you can really find out what the business is, what the scale of the business is, and what do they need it for. But I think that personal touch, it gives me something to do, and it gives that the user that feel where they know they're getting the best out of the product.
Yeah. So I've got some just random questions. Call them random questions. So I want to know, like, what's the most obscure search term that you can remember somebody using? That's one thing that comes to my head.
Obscure search term. We get some funny ones, but. Fragrance, so like the Creed fragrance guy. I'll try and think of another one because I've already used that one, so I want to give you another one. Oh dear, my mind's went totally blank.
Oh, that's all right.
Another one's like e-scooters, stuff like that.
Okay,
e-scooters, e-bikes, wood heaters as well.
Oh really?
Yeah. Stoves. We've had guys with like Aga stoves.
Yeah.
What else is there?
What he wants to know is he got an unused underwear section?
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
No, but what we do, so this is something that we think really, really helps, because, like I said, setting up a search, if you search iPhone on Facebook Marketplace, you'll get shown iPhones, you get shown Samsung phones, you'll get shown microwaves, you'll get shown the most random stuff. So what we thought was really important is someone could set that up, and then all of a sudden they're getting spammed with notifications from microwaves. So we've created over 200 search templates.
Yep.
So one search template would be iPhone, and built into that template is basically enforced keywords, which are effectively additional filters. It means we only show you listings if they feature these keywords. So those templates are all pre-made, which basically means if you search for the top 200 most popular things that we get, it'll all be set up for you, pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, I've noticed that with phones, it works well. Generally, it keeps the really fake ones out. The only one what keeps coming up is one guy, and it's just because he's a competitor, really. Yeah. You see competitors listings sometimes come up. That's the only one what I've not been able to filter out.
The problem is with that is with couches, for example, it's pretty easy because everyone that's a reseller of couches will say delivery available or delivery.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas phones, it's not the same, right?
Yeah.
And also with couches, there's a lot of drop shippers that will do like a Verona 3. So there's certain couches that it's easier to filter out.
Yeah.
With phones, someone will put up an iPhone 14 Pro Max, and then regular Joe Public will put an iPhone 14 Pro Max up with the same title, so it's hard to filter for the title.
Yeah, it is.
Secondary to that, we used to be able to block sellers through Facebook. Now recently Facebook pushed an update, which basically means we no longer get the information about the seller name, so we can't block sellers at the moment. We can do it for Gumtree and stuff like that, but for Facebook it's something that we're hoping comes back shortly. But what we can do is we do this additional filtering now that goes into the description. So for example, we could filter for certain terms in the description, like our store or our website, or you know, all the kind of stuff you put in your
Yes.
description as
Yeah,
a reseller.
Yeah.
So we have that active that we can add for if people want that additional spam filtering, we can implement it. Some people don't want the additional spam filtering because some people are happy to see more and then not miss that one that maybe gets flagged for the wrong reason. But it's pretty good. Like the terms we filter for in the description are pretty much guaranteed. If they come up in the description, it's a shop.
It's really close. I've not had any microwaves come up.
Everything
what we've searched, it's iPhones what come up.
No, I mean,
I think we've got iPhone, Samsung, Apple Watch,
Google
Pixel. You know what, I might swap one for iPads because we've not got iPads on there. So I think
Just
iPads.
having to play around with it, isn't it?
Yes.
And like you say, what's that guy always put on his? Something like
Local delivery available, no offers.
Yeah. But as a user, I mean, we set up the templates so you can just click and go, but you can customize them. Once you get the hang of it, you can customize those templates. You can add anti-keywords.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to see white iPhones or for whatever reason, if it says white iPhone 12 in the description, in the title, and you've added white as an anti-keyword, it won't show you that.
Right.
So you can customize it to whatever you want. If you only wanted to see 14s and 13s, you can do that too. But like I said, I prefer to work closely with people to make sure they know exactly what they want, because I'd rather help them get set up, and then they can play around with it once it's sort of set up for them. But no, the microwave problem was really a problem we faced with the first month or 2 months that we started testing out for me, because you know we had to make these banks of anti-keywords, because at the time we were basically looking for sofas and we were getting like bookshelves and all this kind of stuff up. But that's totally been ironed out now to the point where you can set up a search and it's pretty much ready to go from day one.
We literally used it within. At first, we didn't really understand it at first, and admittedly, I think we got sent a login from one of you guys, and we didn't go through the sort of onboarding process, and we kind of figured it out ourselves, and it worked. But the first hour, there was nothing came through, and we're like, nothing's there. We're doing something wrong here. But obviously, it's like it pushes through, doesn't it? So then, if something got listed, then it came through. And I think we literally bought the first thing that we got.
Is that right? That's always a good sign. That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
No, people sign up, and normally you get your first results within about 5 minutes. And what we do is we search for the most recent 20 listings. So when you first sign up, day one, the first 20 listings you see will probably be an hour old or 2 hours old. We get guys that come in and they're like, oh, you haven't showed me this listing, and it was like 3 days ago, and it's like, well, you signed up today, so we wouldn't show you that from 3 days ago. We only show you new stuff. But obviously, if you've been signed up for a week, you know, when the end of the week comes, you would have seen something 3 days ago when it came up. But yeah, I mean, I think we get the listings through as soon as they come in. Really, I mean, we offer different find times, we call it. So we do. We do 10-minute find time, 5-minute find time, 3-minute find time, 2-minute find time, and an instant find time. So depending on your needs, the demand in your area, the competition, or whatever it would be, or just your general what you're willing to spend, we can obviously give you different find times. We obviously offer different marketplaces too. So some people are happy just with Facebook. Some people will be happy just with Facebook, one search term on a 3-minute find time, and it's within their budget. But that's what we try and really hone in on that, because we understand that, you know, someone might be doing it out of the bedroom and not out of a shop. So there's going to be someone that's willing to pay for it, but they don't need it as much as a full-time business would need it for. So, you know, it's hard, because I think the rule with these subscriptions is you're only meant to have like 3 packages to keep it simple for people. Now, I get that. That's why we offer three packages. But once we speak to the customer and find out what they need, then that's when we can really like tailor it to how much are you willing to spend, how quick do you want your listings to come through, how many marketplaces, and at the end of the week, or even, you know, people can upgrade at any time. We tend to find people find their sweet spot and what they want.
I think for phones, the middle package, is it 3 searches you get on that, isn't it?
3 searches,
That was the one I recommended to most people. We've got the 5 searches on there, but realistically, we're probably just overusing that, having those 5 searches on there. The 3 would be enough. Like iPhone, everyone's after iPhones. Samsung maybe. I think I've bought 2 Samsungs while I've been using the app. So yeah, most people are looking for one specific
Well,
thing.
that's kind of what I mean. So when it comes to the set plans, you got the starter, the intermediate, and the expert. Which, if there's a link in this video, they can check out.
There will be a link.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the link.
Yeah.
Real quick. But use the link in the description below to sign up for Marketplace Monitor. Go on, sorry.
But we specialise in the custom plans. So, like I said, when you sign up, you'll sign up through one of the set plans. But through the week, we'll work out, okay, well, if you've went for the intermediate because you want faster speed, or if you went for the expert because you want that fast find time, you might only need 1 or 2 search terms.
Yeah.
So we can actually save you money. So rather than paying for the expert package, we can get you on 2 search terms on an instant find time, and it will be cheaper than the expert plan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, just whatever people need it for, we can really
So I think
tailor it.
The moral of the story is when Nick emails you or Dan emails you when you sign up, it's not a bot, it's real, it's here in person.
And I can get you a good deal on it as well.
Yeah, it'll sort you out. But if you use the code IDOC50, you'll get half price off your first month. Is it your first month, is it?
First month, yeah.
Half price first month. So sign up with the link below and then use the code IDOC50 for half price off your first month. Everybody gets a 3 weeks trial as well, whether you click the link or not. So I think we've covered most aspects of it.
Any more weird questions?
No, I've forgotten now. I had that in my head, and there were another one. It might come to me. But last time we did like an interview, I did the old Uno reverse, and I said, "Is there any questions that you want to ask me?" If you've not, then that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I asked you a few questions earlier,
Yeah,
right? I've been intrigued as to the phone business, but I guess your guys probably know this answer already. I don't. But what got you started into phones?
Okay, so I got into phones. It was a long time ago that I started with it, and it was just broken phone. Or family member had a broken phone, and I bought a part off eBay for cheap, and just repaired it for him. I've always been that guy who knows a little bit about tech. The one your nan rings when Wi-Fi's not working. So I've always been sort of known a bit about stuff like that, and always been into fixing stuff, taking stuff apart, and that kind of thing. I did a bit of fixing for people, and I used to go out in my car and do it. We used to go to people's houses, and I'd sit on either in someone's kitchen, on the table, or in the car, and I'd fix a phone for them. And then I went off and did a job for a long time, and then I got a notification off Facebook, and I got back. I'd had a few beers one night. I got this notification on Facebook saying your eye doctor page is going to get shut down because it's been inactive for like 7 years or something like that. So I'm like, oh, you know what? That were all right. That it was a good little job. And I was a bit fed up with the job. I was working on the railway and working in London. I was a bit fed up with that. So I'm like, you know what? This might be a good idea. And I started thinking about it for a few days. And then I think within a few weeks, I handed me notice in. And then I decided to do this full time. And I'll always remember, like, I quit the job in August, and then I went to Africa, went to Italy, and then I decided I'm going to start in October, start working. And I had this old iPhone 7, I'd got a broken screen, so I'm like, my first job's going to be that one, I'll do that. And it was a battery, because that's the punchline to his story. I've gone to open this iPhone 7 up, the first thing what I've done is just broke the screen on it. As soon as I've opened it up, I'm like, have I made a bad decision here? And it sort of got better from there. Yeah. Things still get broken, but not as often, luckily. But yeah, that's how I got into it.
I think that's interesting, because even with when I started selling couches, it's just that one moment decision when you think, I'm just going to try it, or just go ahead and do it.
Just give it a try. And I know I wouldn't recommend to anybody to just go balls deep into it like I did, because like I left a good job where I was, and it was decent. I think if I was to do it again, I'd probably go down the little side hustle route of getting established first, doing it from my bedroom or whatever, and then build up to that. But
well, back to what I was saying about being a mechanic, is that the way I said it is, I was walking the plank and jumping in the water is like leaving, basically.
Yeah.
And I was on the verge of doing it because everything was going well with the removals and stuff like this. And because of the sick days that I was calling in on, and I don't think I was particularly good, but probably because I was never there.
Yeah.
But I I was at the point where my apprenticeship finished up. It was 3 years down, and I got called in for a HR meeting with my manager, who didn't like me very much,
Yeah.
and then also one of the women from HR. And they basically gave me this ultimatum where it was like, you need to really settle down and, you know, do the job that you do, or we don't want you here.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just being like I said, it's like getting pushed off the plank. I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
you know, this
yeah.
is my decision. Do I stay or do I leave?
It's hard, isn't it?
And I no, I just sat there and I said to them, I was like, well, if I leave, do I just leave today? And they're like, yeah, you can leave just now. And I went, okay, and I just stood up. I just pulled in a Vauxhall Corsa for a set of brake pads and discs. And I just finished lunch. I couldn't be asked doing it, so I just went in with a job card, threw it in the Corsa, shut my toolbox over, locked it, and then obviously I'd arranged to pick that up like a couple weeks down the line. Just locked it and then went back up the road. And I came home and said to Mum and Dad, I said, I've left. I've sacked, left. And then they were like, what on earth are you going to do? And I said to them, just give me a year and then we'll see what happens. And then it's odd because, like, again, obviously I'm mostly doing Marketplace Monitor now. We're at a position where, you know, I'm able to put a lot of time towards that. Mm-hmm. But to go from, you know, mechanic to removals to couches to then Marketplace
App developer.
It's such a weird pathway, but it just shows you. I used to say to people as well, like, if you are in your own space or in your own business, you come across opportunities all the time that you maybe wouldn't normally go for or have if you were in a job, because maybe the people you're around or maybe you just don't have the time for it. Yeah. But if I've got X amount of time in a day and it's my time and I decide what to do with my time, when I come across an opportunity, I have a real, and you'd be the exact same yourself, you have a real opportunity to be like, well, why don't we go ahead and try that out? Yeah. And that's the best thing I've found.
Yeah, definitely. This is all I've been talking about for the last few weeks, is trying to replace me in the shop so that I can go and pursue all these things, because I think our brains work in similar ways where things pop up and they probably just consume you, and you're thinking, right, I need to spend at least 3 weeks setting this up. And you're like, but I'm tied to this. And it's so easy to throw everything else out of the window, especially once you've seen a good opportunity come up. So I have to manage that. The guys do a good job of trying to keep me grounded, because otherwise I'll do nothing but eBay for 2 weeks until I get bored of that or something else comes along. And
you've got me in your ear going, video.
Yeah. And my missus has to rein me in sometimes as well. So,
well, I had someone say to me, they were like, you know, do you not find that you maybe if you take all these opportunities or you do all these different things, you stretch yourself a bit thin? And I can see it to an extent, but at the same time, like, you know, a good opportunity is a good opportunity. If you don't try it, you don't know.
I don't think I'd be anywhere near satisfied if I didn't at least try.
No, because I'd rather try and then know a definitive yes or no answer.
That's it. My missus would rather see the opportunity go by and stay comfortable than like chasing stuff. And I'd rather, like this morning was absolute chaos. You did me a solid by your train getting cancelled. Because I've been running around like an idiot, just trying to get jobs done. I've got way too much work in at the minute to be sat recording a podcast, but we just somehow figure out a way of doing it, and that's how you do.
Well, there's always time in the day if you want to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another thing I do. I've not done it actually for a while, but in Glasgow we have a subway system, which is in a ring, and there's probably 15 stops, I think.
Yep.
And you've done a pub crawl before, right? You go from one pub and then have a drink and then go to the next pub.
Yep.
In Glasgow, there's a thing called the sub crawl.
Yep.
So you start at one subway station, go to a pub, back onto the subway. Next stop, you go to a pub and you try and complete the full ring. Which is nearly impossible to do because you'll get absolutely pissed. But I was on Airbnb a couple of years ago, and I realised that Airbnb do a thing called Airbnb experiences.
Okay.
Now this is in terms of just a side hustle, like a weekend gig. This is a really not the specific idea, but you know, have a think about what you can do in your area, and then just go on Airbnb because it costs nothing to do. But they've got Airbnb experiences where you can advertise like a walking tour or a ghost tour.
I think I've seen them actually.
So I've done the sub crawl because everyone in Glasgow's done a sub crawl. I've done a few before in the past. And I thought, you know, that's kind of a cool thing that people could go and do a sub crawl. They pay me, and I'm their guide. I take them around the city. So I started advertising. It costs you nothing to advertise because you just put it on Airbnb. So I started advertising the Glasgow sub crawl. Charge about £50 a head. You pay for the subway ticket. And you would get, like, every single weekend, you would get Americans, like a party of 8 Americans
No
would turn up.
way.
Yeah, they turn up because what happens? You book an Airbnb and then you get recommended
Yeah,
experiences.
yeah.
So my subcrawl would turn up on the
Yeah.
experiences page and they'd be like, "Oh, that sounds fancy. That sounds good. We'll go and do that."
Yes.
And you'd get, it was last summer or summer before. Every single weekend, you would just have a big bunch of people coming out, and it's like 4 hours. You're getting drunk with a bunch of really cool people, people you have a great laugh with.
Brilliant.
And you get paid for it at the end of the day.
Yeah,
And they all buy my drinks as well, so I literally don't pay a penny.
I hate to get pissed.
Yeah.
Quit.
I think that'd be a good point to sort of finish this on, because I think that's probably our plan this afternoon, isn't it? That we're going to go take Nick around the Sheffield. We haven't got a subway. I don't know if
Well, it's a shame that United are playing away tonight because we could have went to the Sheffield game.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been great to have you on and get some insight into Marketplace Monitor, because, like I say, I've been banging on about it for weeks, and it works good for everybody. If you didn't hear me already and you made it this far into the podcast, the link for signing up is below. Use the code IDOCTOR50 for your first month, half price. Everybody gets a free 1-week trial. If you've already had it, you probably won't get it again, you cheeky buggers. But we'll end it there. Thanks again for coming on, Nick. See you next time.